Guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is Monday, July 12th, 2021. My name is Aubrey and this is my astrological outlook of the day. And so here we are. We have recently, over the weekend, completed our new moon in Cancer, bringing us to the first quarter phase of this year according to the unfolding of the cycles. The cardinal signs are Aries, Cancer, Capricorn, and Libra. And every time we have a new moon in one of the four cardinal signs, it marks a quarter waypoint through our new astrological year, which began in the cardinal sign of Aries with the new moon in Aries this year on April 11th of 2021. And where we are at now, we have quite a significant week astrologically. There are again a lot of pretty significant activations happening this week, but really to get a better grasp and understanding of where we're at now in the context of this sort of drama and saga that's unfolding all year and that began on the new moon in Aries, April 11th, 2021, I kind of want to jump back to the new moon in Aries and talk about some of the energetics that were in effect on that day, because really whatever is in effect on the day of the new moon in Aries each year, the energetics of the lunar cycle in Aries, which is really our astrological natural new year, right? The starting in the season of Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, the first day of spring with the equinox. Well, the new moon doesn't fall on the equinox, but when the sun and the moon are in Aries, they're starting a fresh cycle. And so from an astrological perspective, that is really what we consider to be the new year. And the energetics in effect on that day are like the underlying tones that are carrying us through vibrationally throughout the course of the entire year, and sort of like the baseline energetics for what is going to be unfolding, growing, developing throughout that cycle. And we had a very significant new moon in Aries this year, and that had a lot to do with the placement of Venus in conjunction to the new moon in Aries. She was also in an exact square to Pluto for the new moon in Aries, and she had also recently come off of conjunction with the Eris Point. And this Eris Point theme is something that I want to bring up and talk about today because it is very activated this week. It is very activated this year, and it really has a lot to do with making these changes internally that we're all making. And with Uranus and Taurus, we are all, I keep saying, being asked to come back into authenticity in terms of our true authentic value in some area of our lives, or just generally, we are all being called back into our true authenticity and being asked to develop and cultivate that and to build our lives around that going forward into the future. But we're facing a lot of issues in doing that, and a lot of it has to do with these sort of like subconscious programming mechanisms that have been put in place throughout our lives and experience that have a tendency to keep us sort of out of touch with the true value of our own internal nature, our true self-worth, making us more easily dominated by other people who we see as being more powerful or stronger or authority over us in some type of way, and therefore giving our power away and diminishing our ability to do actually what we came here to do, which that is the whole point of the age of Aquarius and these new energetics, this new world that we're moving into is a world where people are doing what they actually individually came here to do and really embracing and cultivating their unique talents, gifts, perspectives, ideas, and cultivating and developing those and bringing them out so that they can be contributed to the overall whole, instead of sort of like stifling and molding ourselves into whatever ideal society asks us to be in order to further the causes of that authority, that organization, that overall structure. So it's really a transition from the age of following the leader to the age of self-empowerment, the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius. And this year we know is a very crucial transition point in that we are heading into the age of Aquarius as of this year, with all of these activations that have been happening with Jupiter and Saturn coming into a conjunction in Aquarius. And now we're at the quarter point of the year. So I want to jump back and talk about some of the things that happened at that new moon in Aries, and then talk about what is happening this week, just to give it more context. So At that new moon in Aries, like I said, Venus had just come off of conjunction with the Eris Point, which is at 21 degrees of Aries. And the Sabian symbol for that is a boxer entering the ring. And the archetype, the theme of the Eris Point energy, that is really just like the ultimate in break the chains energy. In the mythology, Eris throws the apple of discord. Eris is about getting to the truth for the sake of the truth, regardless of whose feelings it hurts or who has to get, cast off along the way in order to get to that authentic reality, that authentic truth. It's very, very much about dispelling any type of darkness, breaking off any type of chains, the ultimate liberation, energetic, dynamic, frequency, resonance. That is what the Eris Point represents, the true spiritual warrior for authentic truth and liberation of the human spirit. And this archetype was very, very fused into this year, and it had a lot to do with the square from Venus to Pluto. And I want to go back and read just a little bit of what I wrote for my report that I did for the new moon in Aries this year, just to sort of explain this Venus-Pluto dynamic that we have going on, because this is very important. And as I get through this report, as I explain what's going on with the activations this week, you will see how what is going on now is really very significant in terms of where we're going in the context of what this year is really about. So for the new moon in Aries, Venus was at the degree of 27 Aries, and the Sabian symbol or energetic resonance in a picture form, described in a picture form for that degree, is through imagination, lost opportunities or regained. So we know this entire year, this entire astrological year, this Aries cycle of 2021, is about regaining lost opportunities. And at that point in time, like I said, she was recently off her conjunction with the Eris Point, which refused the nature of the feminine back into its divine image of balance and wholeness. Eris is like the flip side of Venus, the opposites, the dark side of the feminine, you could say. And Venus was squaring off at 27 Aries, 27 Capricorn, exact with Pluto for that new moon. Now, Venus and Pluto, this was, and it will be, a significant underlying theme all year. And Venus and Pluto is really, this year is about feminine principles transcending dominance and control. And in this story, it has been and it will be, and this is the quest that we're on right now, is the reintegration and re-empowerment of the feminine that overcomes the darkness, Pluto, and lost opportunity, the degree of this activation, and wins out over long-standing power and control dynamics. Venus and Pluto is a lot about control and dominance through money and love or relationships, and is deeply complex and psychological in nature, and plays into all of the old age of Pisces themes of surrender of power and perpetual victimization through mind control and dominance, essentially. This year, as I wrote on the new moon in Aries, we will face experiences in our lives that will bring these themes to the surface to be dealt with and transcended. And Venus overcomes the Dark Lord in this saga through imagination and divine inspiration, right? As she was at 27 degrees of Aries, and she was immediately at that point in time backed up by her sister Eris. Remember, she had just conjoined the Eris Point, and at that point in time as well, the sun and the moon, Mercury, Chiron, Uranus, Mars, and Neptune were all supporting her, as well as the black moon. And Pluto was standing alone and empty Capricorn. Pluto was the only planet in Capricorn at that period of time, and the Sabian symbol was a mountain pilgrimage. And really, his role there has been to pulverize the remains of the old world and the old systems and structures. And this aspect was bringing a complete overhaul and transformations in value systems, Venus, and economic systems this year. And it also has been bringing us through a process of completely destroying relationships that are not in alignment with divine order and authenticity for some reason. I've been saying all year, anything that is not in alignment with true authenticity will not make it through these energetics. And the way that these changes have been happening has been quickly, shockingly, suddenly, and out of nowhere, because Uranus has been in Venus's sign of Taurus. And this, has caused an increase for a need and just being able to handle these rapidly changing dynamics. And so really this whole this whole thing has been about aligning our hearts and our souls in order to create beauty, peace, and balance going forward, but doing it in a way that allows us to find the self-empowerment to overcome these things that have been dominating, suppressing, and controlling, like our innocence, our peace, our value, our beauty, and like our true inner self-love and self-worth. And I wrote, the escape from the underworld and the slaying of the beast is a lofty pursuit and should not be taken lightly. A powerful and in-depth analysis of our own hearts and souls has been required, and going into the deepest and darkest places and truly thinking about and examining our pain, fear, wounding, and root traumas is required in order to learn the strategies, tactics, and understandings necessary to truly transcend and break free from the subconscious surrender to the structures that have previously enslaved and controlled our minds. And this year, it's really about, in so many ways, breaking free from anything that has enslaved us to anything really in any type of a way. And I just wanted to bring that back up. And now I'm going to, because it's very relevant right now considering what is going on with the rest of the transits. So now I want to talk about the energetics that are in effect for today and why I feel like it was important to kind of go through that again. We have Venus coming into a conjunction with Mars today at 19 degrees of Leo. Now, Mars is actually going to move to 20 degrees of Leo, and then Venus will catch up, and then they will have an exact to the minute conjunction tomorrow. But we're getting like the first dose of them conjoining today, and it's at 19 degrees of Leo. Now, the moon will also be in that conjunction. The moon is in Leo, and the moon will be right there at that 8, 17, 18, 19 degree mark when they're making their conjunction. So it will be Venus, Mars, and the moon. And now, the Eris Point, like I said, is 21 degrees of Aries, and this conjunction today is at 19 degrees of Leo. And so they are going to be in a very close trine to the Eris Point. And actually, tomorrow, when they make their exact conjunction, they will be in a 1 degree orb trine to the Eris Point. And this is significant, okay? We also have the sun today at 21 degrees of Cancer. Cancer is another cardinal sign, making the sun today in an exact square to the Eris Point. And simultaneous to this, we also have Mercury coming to 2 degrees, who moved to Cancer, moved from Gemini to Cancer yesterday. Huge energetic shift in the way that our minds are working and what we're thinking about going through this cycle, but he will be forming an exact trine with Jupiter retrograde today as well. And so we have these energetics playing out. Now, what is extra interesting and important about the Mars-Venus conjunction in a trine to the Eris Point is that Mars and Venus, they will conjoin, and they're going to begin sort of like moving together, and then, they'll spread apart. Venus moves faster than Mars. But Venus is actually going to go through a retrograde process come later this winter. And and that Venus is going to cross Venus. So she's conjuncting with Mars right now. And it's interesting because for the degree of the new moon in Cancer that we just had on Friday, Saturday, overnight, the sun was at the degree, the Sabian symbol of a priest performing a marriage ceremony. And now just a few days later, we have Venus and Mars conjoining in the sign of Leo. And so we know that this marriage ceremony being spoken about is the reunification of the divine feminine and the divine masculine on an individual and a collective level within our psyches, and also, in our on a macrocosm level as well. And Venus and Mars, this conjunction is going to, Venus is now being supported by Mars, and over the next few months, she's going to move on, and she's going to come into a conjunction with Pluto in Capricorn. She's going to square Pluto first, and then she will come to a conjunction with Capricorn, with Pluto. She will move on, and remember, Venus was in square with Pluto for the new moon. So this is this conflict between like the beauty, the innocence, the love, and the true value being dominated and controlled by something that is hiding and distorting and manipulating that value for its own purposes, and the struggle, the journey to overcome this and to break free and to stand in your own true power of your own value. That is the lesson that we are learning this year. And Mars is now supporting Venus in this pursuit. And on March 2nd of 2022, Venus and Mars will come together into an exact conjunction with Pluto. And that will be the culmination of this process. Venus and Mars will come together to take down the darkness that began and was indicated or was very relevant and a theme to have happening this year with the new moon in Aries. By the time that we get to March 2nd of 2022 of next year, that process is going to be finishing up and is going to be victorious, and we are going to come to a whole new level of internal power that is really going to do a lot to break us out of any subconscious programming or anything that's been holding us back from our true authenticity. And I just find it very significant today that for this activation, it is in a trine to the Eris Point, when for the new moon in Aries, the Eris Point was in conjunction to the new moon and to the square from Venus to Pluto. So this conjunction of Mars and Venus this week, today with the moon, and then tomorrow also, trine the Eris Point, we are getting a refusing of the divine feminine and the divine masculine, and this is taking us on a journey to totally liberate ourselves and break free, break the chains, throw the apple of discord in terms of anything that is holding us back from our true passion, Mars, our true love, Venus, and our true creative inspiration and creative energy, Venus and Mars together. It's really very significant in this process of transitioning into the age of Aquarius that we're in right now, and all of these changes that we see taking place collectively. This week, people are going to stop standing for it. This week, generally on a very small individual level that then snowballs and turns into like a very collective thing, people are pretty much done being controlled and dominated. And with the sun in square to the Eris Point today, they're just not going to be having it going forward. And the sun is going to be opposing Pluto this week as well in a couple of days. And that also is really going to show us where we're at in terms of coming into our own personal power and standing down these external sources that have been like dominating and controlling us in some type of way. The human spirit is no longer going to be tolerating this as of this conjunction with Venus to Mars, as of the Venus-Mars conjunction with the moon in trine to the Eris Point, while the sun is also in square to the Eris Point. We also, and with I need to talk about the Sabian symbols of the degrees too. Venus and Mars at 19 degrees of Leo today. This is a houseboat party. So I think it's really cute because it's sort of like a pre-marriage ceremony or like a wedding reception or something, getting ready for this. Tomorrow actually is the exact conjunction, getting ready for this conjunction. So they're coming together, they are being joined, they are being refused, reunited, reintegrated this week, and it's in Leo, the sign of the sun, the sign ruled by the sun. So this is what is growing, this is what's giving us our vitality, and this is what's developing and growing over this course. Actually, Venus and Mars usually move in about like 2 to 2.5 year cycles, and this one is just quite significant in terms of what they are actually accomplishing together for all of us in our psyche and also on a collective level. And with the moon there today, it's a trigger for it, and all of us actually should be feeling quite like loving and passionate and inspired and creative in whatever area of our life this conjunction is manifesting today, especially with the moon there. And if you're interested about where this is exactly playing out for you, check out my 12 sign readings I did for the energetics of this week, because this is one that I specifically talked about, and I talked about for all of the 12 signs where this conjunction is playing out in terms of the area of your life that it's most likely to be affecting. So really today, we are beginning this week where we are in this break the chains energy, this liberating energy, really throwing off things that we feel like are hindering us from being in alignment with our authenticity in one way or another. And with the sun at 21 degrees of Aries or 21 degrees of Cancer today, this Sabian symbol is a prima donna singing. So people could be feeling very vocal about it and being very vocal about their attempts for like ultimate liberation with this. Now, like I said, we also have Mercury at 2 degrees of Cancer today, forming an exact trine to Jupiter at Jupiter retrograde at 2 degrees of Pisces. And this is a really, really beautiful, beautiful, amazing, uplifting, inspiring, energetic. This should do a lot for all of us, like to give us just a boost of like mental morale. We should be feeling pretty good and inspired with this activation in effect today and this week. Actually, you know, today generally we should probably be feeling like very inspired to like have a lot of energy, have a lot of passion, and we're finding out a lot. We're getting the degree where Mercury is making this trine today is 2 degrees of Cancer, and the Sabian symbol for this degree is a person on a magic carpet observes vast vistas below, and it's a trine to Jupiter. So we are getting a grand and expansive view of things today. This is also more of that energy that is really showing us the truth about things and giving us clarity and showing us what's been really happening, and you know, giving us better ideas about things, helping us to see the bigger picture so that we can have more clear ideas, a more broadened perspective of how we're going to move forward and what's true and what we can believe and what's not, and what we need to release and let go, leave behind us and move on from at this point in time. And so really this week, it's like we've been in this process of finding out so much that has been unclear or misunderstood, or we've been sort of deceived in some type of way, gaining clarity. And now this week, it's like we are having a much even more expansive view of that clarity. Like messages are coming through, we're seeing the truth about things, and we are being really passionately inspired, like from our heart and soul, to do what it takes to liberate ourselves, to regain that balance, to regain our self-worth, to say like, no, I'm not going to be treated like that because this is my value. Like, and I know my value now, and I love myself, and I'm no longer going to be subjected to this type of dominance that keeps me from being able to be liberated to be myself. I'm not going to stand for that anymore. So this is the type of thing that we're going to start seeing this week. And it has a lot to do, like I said, with these new perspectives that we've gained, this new information and this new very expanded viewpoint. And also with Venus and Mars together, just really igniting our heart and making us very passionate about what we care about. And with the Sun in Cancer, you know, our family and what we love and what's important to us, and putting the energy and the care into those things, and no longer standing for being controlled by any type of external power source that is out of alignment with what is truly in the best interests of our inner needs, our inner nurturing, and our family. So today we are really starting this process this week of breaking through, breaking out, and standing up for ourselves. And I think that we're really going to see this as the energy this week builds to the opposition of the Sun to Pluto that we're going to be experiencing this week as well. So we have very active energetics today, a lot of creative inspiration, a lot of really positive energy, Venus and Mars, and the moon feeling good about it. But on the same sense, it's also pushing us to like have the self-love and the motivation to stand up for ourselves, to stand down these power dynamics, and to really start reclaiming our personal power and our authentic liberation for our authentic truth and our authentic values. And it's kicking off this week. So that is basically what I have for the energetics of the day today. We're in another really significant week energetically, and we will see how this plays out, but I am still expecting a flood of information to be coming through, and to people just be generally coming to a point where, because of all of the changes also that have been happening, the shocks and surprises that have been happening in terms of partnerships, relationships, business contracts, money, stability, all of these things as well, people are kind of coming to a point where they're just not going to be tolerating anything interfering with their peace and motivation to be happy anymore. So that is that's the deal for today, you guys. If you liked my video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends if you think they would like this, leave me comments. I absolutely love your comments. And join or like my Facebook page. I'll link it in the description below if you guys want to. Thank you so much for watching my videos and tuning tuning into my content, and I will see you guys back here tomorrow for my astrological outlook of the day. Bye, guys.